Perfect for Fast Five.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Watch Your Six. I'm Jason Edwards. We're trying something a little different today. We're actually going live. So we're both live on social media, Instagram, and we're also live on YouTube. So we welcome those audience that have joined us. And hopefully, maybe in the future, we've got a fairly good following. We look forward to you guys joining the channel so that you can get some interaction with us, ask us some questions live, and then we can answer some of those questions. So feel free. Feel free to drop line questions or DMs in the social media during the course of our show. We'll try to get to those. So today I want to talk a little bit about what's going on globally and the economy, because everyone has been asking us that. You know, Jason, is the world going to implode? Is there going to be some kind of market implosion? Is the dot-com going to bubble pop just like in 90s when it comes to AI? So first and foremost, let's talk a little bit about the economic differences. So with what we have today in AI, we don't have the traditional bubble. The environment and the market is not contingent on one sector. We're seeing growth in multiple sectors. That's a huge difference compared to the dot-com bubble. Dot-com bubble, we had one sector, it was technology, and multiple positions were actually being traded on companies that didn't exist for more than a couple of months. So there's a big difference there. When you have multiple pillars holding up a house, and one pillar takes a hit, what happens? The house stays standing. With bubble pop bursts that we've experienced in the past, you traditionally had one industry. But now, if you look at it, you'll see the finance sector is doing fairly well. Consumer staples are doing fairly well. AI obviously is driving the economy. But out of AI, there are other sectors. There are, as I've said so many times before, storage centers that have to be created. There is energy sectors that are building up. So I wouldn't get too scared about the bubble or the impression of a bubble. We've got a financial dynamic that is very, very consistent. And we're seeing that even with things like the jobless report. We saw how many jobs were accumulated in the last quarter. It was phenomenal. Our GDP, even with what's going on globally, we still did 2%. So don't get over exaggerated or don't get over anxiety driven when it comes to the market. Because the market is actually doing very well. And if you have an IRA or a 401k, what happens? Well, next thing you know, you look into your portfolios and you're up 15, 20%. Now, on a short term, we're going to have a little bit of pain because right now we're having a push on oil. And with that push on oil, what's happened? Well, gas prices have gone up. Gas prices gone up. Well, that means the transport costs or the ability to transport from point A to point P has gone up, right? And then on top of that, what do you have? You have the cost of living going up because you go to the grocery store, those entities have to push on that price point to you. So I would say short term, deal with that and have to understand that. And it'll be a painful process. But once this military conflict is over, and once you've got those oil barrel prices start to recede, you're going to see a massive expansion in the economy. And that is what you want to call the Goldilocks scenario. So everything is just right, just perfect for incredible growth. So when you do those kind of things, you want to make sure that you're taking advantage of that. Now, we've got some really good DMs we're going to get to in a minute. But in the interim, I want to still come back to look at these market opportunities as just that, an opportunity. Don't look at it as sky falling, but look at it as a glass of water half full. And if you take advantage of those opportunities, we shared this a couple of weeks ago. If you had bought in one particular position, we're not going to mention it, but if you bought it 2 years ago, you'd be up 300%. So imagine if you just put $1,000 in 2 years ago and you were up 300%. Who of us couldn't pull together a couple hundred or $1,000 to put into investments? Well, a lot of us could. So those are opportunities. And we see that with things, for example, with the SpaceX, the 5-for-1 split. You're seeing positions that are getting larger in value, and then they're splitting, which means your share ownership increases. If you're not in, what do you get? Nothing. If you don't stay in, what do you get? Nothing. So you can't let these market environments scare you from doing the right thing. That's why we preach dollar cost averaging, which is a tried and true method. That's why we are against the type of things of getting out of the market and trying to get back in called market timing. Well, I'll get out now and I'll wait till the market stabilizes and I'll get back in. Remember, I've shared these stats before. 1994 to 2004, long period of time, the average yield was about 11%. If you miss 10 of the best days, not 10 years, 10 days, In that period of time, your rate of return dropped by 39%. That's huge. And nobody here on watching the show can forecast what are going to be the 10 best days to invest. Nobody can. So the only way to circumvent that, you got to stay in the market. You got to have a sound investment strategy, but you've got to be in these sectors that are doing very well. And there are a lot of sectors doing well. We have some sectors that are up 32, 34%. And in this market environment, they're just the sky's the limit right now. So those are the things that we want to really look at. And that's the big component to, like one of our DMs, time in the market, timing the market. Those are two different components, right? You stay in the market long term. Imagine even with the tech bubble, if you had invested in the tech bubble with that substantial correction in 2000, which is only 20 years ago, where would you be today? Well, you'd be up 3,000% in your investment portfolio, depending on the sector. So we're talking very short windows. Opportunities are there and people are making huge, huge steps. Now, we did have a really good DM. Max out your IRA every year. One of the best financial moves. That's absolutely true. If you have access to a Roth IRA or an IRA, that's a great way because it does two things. One, it puts it in and makes you forget it. Because remember, with IRAs, you typically can't touch them to 60. So even if the market is wiggling back and forth, if you put that money in and you realize, you know what, I can't touch it for 10, 15, 20 years, that's a great resource and it keeps you from trying to overmanage the portfolio. Secondly, we talked about it before, tax benefits. You know, some of these really unique tax benefits out there, people don't realize. They get a small refund check and they say, you know what, I don't have to worry about anything. Well, the reality is you do, because that tax benefit or that tax deduction could maybe double your refund check if you're getting one, or mitigate the tax liability that you're receiving. So those are great components that you want to take advantage of, but there are all little nuances when it comes to IRAs, Roth IRAs, SEP IRAs, KEO. I mean, the list goes on and on of things that are out there. And we always love to answer those. So make sure you email our show or DM the show and let us know about some of those. Now, going back to our earlier subject, what do I do with this market? Invest. Right now, there are some incredible sectors that you need to be putting your capital into, whether it's short-term, intermediate, or long-term. I always recommend having basically 3 accounts. One account would be my short-term or my savings account. It's 6 months of money for my bills, pre-saved. It's cash. I don't touch it. But then I recommend an intermediate account. And that's something that a lot of people miss. So what you'll find with people that invest is they'll put money in, their savings, and then they put money in retirement accounts. That's great. But here's the thing. Are you going to travel? Or are you going to have an issue with your car? Are you going to have an issue with the roof on the house prior to retirement where you're going to need money? Well, yeah. So what I don't want you doing is I don't want you using your credit cards. I want you to now mitigate that with this intermediate investment account. So imagine an account that you have that you're saving for, and it's for everything you're going to do before retirement. So if you want to go on a cruise, want to buy that house, want to upgrade your car, whatever it is, that account will be designed for that. So now we've got an account that's liquid, but it's invested. So the investment earnings are growing, and those investment earnings are making your purchase ability much greater. Those are the kind of things that I want you to look at, because that opportunity is really there. And if you ever have any questions on it, feel free to contact us and let us know and walk you through it. But the investment solution is have those 3 accounts where if it's $100 a month, $10,000 a month, $50,000 a month, I don't care what the number is, you're diluting and you're diversifying and dividing your payments into those 3 accounts so that you're consistently growing your liquid net worth, your retirement net worth, and your opportunity to build more cash. And that's the thing that, again, all of our viewers need to know. It doesn't take a lot to be a millionaire in this world. I have tremendous amount of clients that are in their 50s and 60s. They're blue collar workers and they're millionaires now. They literally are millionaires. But if you employ some of the tactics we're talking about, you can also be that financially successful. You can. I promise you that. I've been doing it 20 years. But you got to deploy, and you can't procrastinate. You can't blame other people. You can't blame the market. You've just got to come up with a set plan, institute that plan using the sound tools that we talk about all the time on the show. And those tools will then help you. Now, one of the best tools we have right now that we are giving to our clients is our ebook. So go to thejasonedwards.com. That's thejasonedwards.com, or Watch Your 6. and you can get the free ebook complimentary uploaded. And that is a great tool that you can use, sort of like a guide rail. You need some guidance. It's not sales driven. It is educational driven. It's designed to give you the insight to start making fundamental changes so that we can make money and receive the opportunity to do the things you really want to do. Well, I appreciate that from Julie. You are great. I need to watch more of these. Thank you so much. That's very sweet. If you go to our YouTube channel, Watch Your Six, or if you go to Spotify or Apple iTunes, you can listen to all of episodes. We've got 40, I think, episodes online already. So feel free to go there. I do have a DM question. So I'm a 21-year-old investing in the vast majority of my income since I was 17. Well, that's incredible. To have a 21-year-old invest most of his money in retirement or investment assets, you're going to be way ahead of the game. I wish I did that when I was 17. And with a brokerage and IRA, and I'm looking to pursue a long-term financial career. Well, the financial sector, I'll tell you, is challenging. And with the introduction of AI, it's going to become even more challenging, what they call robo-brokers. But I would tell you, maybe take an internship at an investment firm. Try to maybe do two sides of the investment channel. So you've got the wirehouse. Those are the banks that will sell you products that are proprietary. I don't necessarily agree with them because they're very limited. But then maybe intern with an independent investment firm, one that is not tied to a financial firm. So you get a real understanding of what it takes for the industry and get an understanding exactly which type of career you want. Because in the financial sector, you've got financial planning, right? You've got advisory services. You've got the research and development team. You've got the analytical team. I mean, there's all spectrum. So it really depends on your personality and more specifically what part of the industry you really would enjoy. So I think that's great. I think you've got the right start, and congratulations on that financial decisions you've made. And in 15 or 20 years, when your friends are still joking about going out to eat and have no money, you'll be flying your own jet. So keep that up. Very proud of you. In conclusion for the show this week, we want to just highlight to stay the course. Don't get over concerned. Make sure you're talking to financial individuals that give you some sound advice and insight. Those individuals that allow you to sort of have a secondary look and make sure that you've got the resources to make decisions that are unbiased. That's a critical component. If you remember, I just talked to the individual that wanted a long-term financial career. Try to get with an independent firm. Our firm is independent. That is critical because that means there isn't a financial firm pushing the institution to sell one product, or they aren't being limited by their scope of resources, and therefore they can really offer you anything that's available. And in this marketplace, with the speed at which information travels and the speed at which financial data changes, you've got to have an independent firm. A wirehouse, i.e. a bank or a large institution like that, they're just archaic. And at the end of the day, they typically sell what they want to sell. They don't necessarily advise clients on what's best. So I would tell you, look for an independent institution to help create your network. Remember, on Watch Your Six, we're talking about creating a stable of people that help watch your background. They help watch, hey, what's coming on behind that I wasn't aware of. And that's what's really cool about our podcast. We try to get into some of the things and nuances of things you may miss, and those are critical. So we're delighted to be live. We look forward to doing more of these live shows. We hope you've enjoyed it. My name is Jason Edwards with Watch Your Six. As I said, go to Apple iTunes, go to Spotify, go to YouTube. You'll find Watch Your Six with Jason Edwards, and we'll see you next week. Have a great week.